Hello dear students, welcome to Wow Education once again. Now today we are going to start history lesson 2, New Kings and Kingdoms. In lesson 1 we have read about tracing changes in the earlier times. So in this lesson the important points which we are going to cover are new dynasties and administration, 400 taxes, various types of taxes, tripartite struggle, temples and grants. New dynasties. Many new dynasties emerged between the 7th and 12th centuries. Dynasties means ruling families, and they were Gurjar Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas, Palas, Cholas and Chauhanas. As you can see in this map, you can find out that this is the region of Chauhanas. Chauhanas, they were earlier known as Chahamanas, and their region is almost Rajasthan. And Gurjar Pratihara, they are covering the region of Uttar Pradesh and Delhi area. And Parmaras, they are covering the area of Haryana and Madhya Pradesh. And similarly, Rashtrakuta, they are in the region of Maharashtra. Big landlords or warrior chief, who were also known as subordinate. Subordinate means whosoever assists a king. They provided gifts, military supports to the king. As they gained power and wealth, they declared themselves independent rulers. And it happens because whenever you have lot of power, lot of rights are given to you, then you become independent from your previous rulers. And the same thing also happened with the subordinate. Earlier they used to work under the kings, but later on when they themselves gained a lot of power, then they became independent, and then they started ruling their own territory and became the king of their own territories. For example, Rashtrakuta in the Deccans, they earlier were the subordinates of Chalukyas of Karnataka. There was one ruling dynasty, means there was one family which was ruling in Karnataka, and they were known as Chalukya. So Rashtrakuta, they were the subordinate or the assistant of the Chalukyas. But what happened? Danti Durga, a Rashtrakuta chief, he was so strong and powerful that he overthrew his Chalukya overlord. Means he betrayed, or somehow he was more stronger than his ruler or the king. So he himself became the king and grabbed the throne. Throne means Sinhasan. And later on, when he became the king, he performed a ritual. And that ritual he named it Hiranya Garbha. Hiranya Garbha, which literally means the golden womb. Ritual means sanskar. And what this Hiranya Garbha actually meant, when this ritual was performed with the help of Brahmanas, as you know, all the rituals even today in the Hindu society, we call all the Brahmanas, whether it is for अगर घर में नामकरण करते हो, नेमिंग सेरेमनी, अगर जनेऊ संस्कार करते हो, थ्रेडिंग सेरेमनी, अगर शादी करते हो, मैरिज सेरेमनी, या एनी फॉर कथा करते हैं, फॉर एनी सेरेमनीज यू कॉल ब्राह्मणास इन योर हाउस. Similarly, this king Danti Durga, he also performed a ritual with the help of Brahmanas, and it was thought to lead to the rebirth of the sacrificer as a Kshatriya. Sacrificer means the person who is doing or who is performing the ritual. So this ritual was being performed by Danti Durga, and he will be rebirthed as a Kshatriya. It means he was not from a Kshatriya clan earlier. Okay, even if he was not one by birth, he might be of Brahmana clan, he might be of Vaishya or Sudra clan. So after this Hiranyagarbha ritual, it was thought in that time, not in the current time, that whosoever will perform this ritual, he will become the Kshatriya by birth. Next is, in other cases, men from trading families used their military skills to make kingdom. See, earlier what used to happen, Brahmanas, their job was to worship, and Kshatriyas, their job was to do the ruling portion, means rule the country. So there were few others people also who were not belonging to the Kshatriya family, Kshatriya clan, but they were having the dream to rule a country. So what they did, they started converting themselves into Kshatriya from various castes like trading families also. And the trading families, they were known as Vaishya in the earlier times, just like today. For example, the Kadamba Mayur Sharman and the Gurjar Partihara Harichandra, they were Brahmins. And Brahmins, they were not supposed to rule, but due to their power, they gave up their traditional profession, means worshipping, and took to arms. Arms means weapons. And they established their kingdoms in Karnataka and Rajasthan respectively. Many of these new kings adopted high sounding titles also. Now what do you mean by title? Title is something which is given to some very famous person due to regards, due to respect. Just like Jawaharlal Nehru, he has been given the title Chacha Nehru just because he used to love children a lot. And Mohan Das Karamchand Gandhi, he is also known as Bapu by love of the people of the India. And Sardar Patel also, there was no Sardar in his name, he was Ballabh Bhai Patel, but due to his ability of leadership, he was known as Sardar. So these are the example of titles. So in earlier times, what various titles kings they used to receive and they used to put before their name. They were Maharaja Dhiraj, means great king. You must have heard this title in various movies, serials and stories also. Next is Tribhuvan Chakravartin. It means Lord of the Three Worlds. So these are some of the titles which show the power and the reach of a king. And king of those time, they used to share power with samantas. Samantas means almost like subordinate or assistant. And resources or the taxes, they were obtained from the peasants. Peasants are the people who live in villages. Cattle keepers, artisans. Artisans are the people who make beautiful things, means handicraft or other item. And traders. 400 taxes. What is it? The inscription of the Cholas who ruled in Tamil Nadu, it referred to more than 400 different kinds of taxes. And the most frequently mentioned tax is Vetti. What is Vetti? Vetti is a form of forced labor. Means you need not to pay to the laborer, but they will work for you free of cost. So this is not a good kind of tax which king used to take from the peasants in the earlier time. Thank God we are living in a democratic country where nobody can force us to do labor for them in free, right? So next form is Kadamai. It's a land revenue. If you have land, it means then you have to give some portion of the tax to the king. Next is tax on thatching the house. If you are constructing a house, means even if it is a hut, then also you need to pay a tax. Tax on the use of a ladder to climb palm trees. In earlier times, palm trees were of very importance because the palm leaves were used to write down the inscriptions and the various valuable scripts on them. So that's why I think tax was used to plug the leaves of the palm trees. Next is a cess. Cess is tax. A tax on succession to family property. Suppose your parents' property, you are transferring it on your name, then also you need to pay tax to the king. So these are only few of the tax out of the 400 various types of tax which were mentioned in this one of the inscription found in Tamil Nadu. Next is, what is the use of taxes? Just like nowadays government takes a lot of tax from us, you might not be knowing, but just ask your parents. They are giving taxes if they are earning good, whether they are on government job or whether they are doing some business. Everybody has to pay tax to the government. Suppose we buy a vehicle, then also some portion of the money we have to pay to the government, that is known as vehicle tax. And you also have seen in colonies also, if there is water tax also, government takes fees to supply water to us. And electricity tax also, we use electricity, we consume electricity, and in turn of it we have to pay electricity bill to the government. So these are some forms of the taxes. Now where those taxes are being used? In earlier times also, these resources, these taxes were used to finance the king's establishment. King used to maintain his palace, various persons who are working in the palace, and for the construction and for the repairment of the palace, to build new forts, to build various other building materials, and to use to fight wars. And to go for the war is not a easy job. You need a lot of horses, you need a lot of elephants, you need a lot of weapons, a lot of money, soldiers. Everybody will fight for you only when you will pay them money. Without paying them salary or money, nobody will fight for you. That's why king used to pay a lot while going for a war. For the construction of temples and forts. Next is, collecting revenue were generally recruited from influential families and position were often hereditary. Now king was not so free that he could go to each and every farmer and trader and collect the tax. So he used to appoint few of the people who used to collect taxes on behalf of the king, and thereafter they used to give that taxes to the king, and king used to give some share of that tax to that collecting person. And those collecting person, they were of very high post, and this rank or the position was hereditary. Hereditary means once the person dies, the post automatically goes and transfers to his son. In many cases, close relatives of the king held these position. Means there was these posts were based on the biasness. Whosoever were the relatives of the king, they used to acquire these influential posts. Prashastis and land grants. What do you mean by prashastis? Prashasti is a Hindi word which actually says किसी की प्रशंसा करना, and that means prashastis contain details that may not be literally true, but they tell us how rulers they wanted to depict themselves. Means suppose I am ruler and I wanted to show rest of the country, rest of the world that I am very brave, I am very honest. So what I will do, I will hire few of the brahmanas and tell them to write few books about me, and I'll give them some reward or the gift when they will finish writing about me. So those written books by the brahmanas about me, about good things about me, even they are not in me, so those books were known as prashastis, and those were being written by the brahmanas, who also helped in the administration. And sometimes they wrote about the various valiant means bravery, and the victorious warriors, and they were composed by learned Brahmins. This is one of the example of prashastis. king often rewarded brahmanas by grant of land. So this is what, when the brahmanas have written prasastis for the king, then the king used to give them the grants of lands, means vast land. Sometime almost half of the village land was given to the brahmanas. These were recorded on copper plates. See, suppose I am king, I have granted many bighas of land to one brahmanas. So how will he know that I have granted him this portion of land? For that, my official or my some other clerks, what they will do, they will write down my order on these copper plates, and these copper plates will be joined by this hook which is sealed by, see, this is the seal of government, means king, and this seal means these documents are original, because this seal is only being provided by the palace people. And these are often written in Sanskrit and partially in Tamil. Right now we are talking about South India. So South India, it is most spoken language there is Tamil. The ring holding the place together is secured with the royal seal. This is royal seal to indicate that this is an authentic document. Authentic means original. Tripartite struggle. Tri means three. Now let us see what this struggle is all about. For centuries, ruler belonging to the Gurjar Pratihara. This region is Gurjar Pratiharas, and Rashtrakuta. This region is of Rashtrakuta, this pink region, and Pala dynasty, and this purple portion is of Pala dynasty. These three dynasties, they fought for the control over Kannauj. You can see this is one place, Kannauj. It is of very much importance because this was a pilgrimage place where there were lot of temples, and it was very fertile land was there, means lot of agriculture can be done there. So whosoever used to control this area, they used to get a lot of taxes from the farmers. That's why these three dynasties, they were always fighting, means here it is been mentioned they had fought for almost many centuries for control over this area known as Kannauj. Because there were three parties in this struggle, that's why this is known as tripartite struggle. Rulers plundered temples. Rulers means king, plundered means destroyed or looted temples. Why did they do so? Rulers also tried to demonstrate their power and resources by building large temples. We have read in earlier slides also, kings, they used to take lot of taxes from the people, and some amount of the taxes which was spent on building large temples. As you can see, such a large, magnificent and beautiful temple it is, which is just impossible for a single person to build because it requires a lot of money and lot of laborers. So only the such huge temples we can see in India were only of ancient period. Nowadays nobody builds such a large and huge temples. So when one kingdom they used to attack on the other kingdom, what they used to do, they often choose to target temples which were sometimes very rich, because many a time the temples were the source of lot of money, lot of coins, and very what we can say expensive and costly idols, means images of the gods and goddesses were made of gold, made of silver, made of other beautiful and costly stones were placed inside the temples. Bells were also sometimes made up of gold also. So the king used to plunder and loot the temples. One of the best known of such ruler is Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni, Afghanistan. He ruled from 9917 CE to 1030 CE, and he extended his control over parts of Central Asia. As you can see, this is Afghanistan region, but as you can see this boundary of Sultan Mahmud Ghazni. So he had captured Iran also, and up to here, and New Delhi also. See, he plundered and he approached to India, and up to this area was under his control. So he raided the subcontinent almost every year. To India he used to come and raid it every year. His targets were wealthy temples, including that of Somnath, Gujarat. At that time, Somnath temple was very wealthy temple because it was having a lot of wealthiest things, coins, and very precious images of the gods and goddesses inside it. So this is how Mahmud of Ghazni, he had destroyed our beautiful temple, which was built by the Hindu rulers. Now see how lonely this temple is looking like after the plunder. Only few of the bricks are remained over there, but after India got independence, few rich traders of the country, they had donated a lot to reconstruct this temple again. Mahmud of Ghazni, he carried away with the wealth of this temple, and he looted this temple and carried a lot of wealth and money to his country, Afghanistan. Sultan Mahmud was also interested in finding out more about the people he conquered. Conquered means he had won, and interested a scholar named Al-Biruni to write an account of the subcontinent. And Al-Biruni write about India in his famous book known as Kitabul Hind. These are few extract and the pages of that original book Kitabul Hind, where he has written the invasion and the history of Mahmud of Ghazni while he came to India. So these such types of book, they become very important for the archaeologists and historians, because we come to know about the rulers by it. The Chauhanas, who ruled over the region around Delhi and Ajmer, they attempted to expand their control to the west and the east. The best known Chahmana ruler was Prithvi Raj III, who ruled from 1168 to 1192, and who defeated an Afghan ruler whose name was Muhammad Ghori in 1191, but he lost to him in the year 1192. You must have read the stories about Prithvi Raj Chauhan. He was a brave Rajput ruler, and who had defeated Muhammad Ghori in the first war, but in the second war he lost it and was killed. Raja first. The heading is from Uriur to Thanjavur. Now let us move to the South India. Raja I. He is considered the most powerful Chola ruler. As you can see, this pink portion is under the dynasty of Chola. So Raja I, he became the king in 985 CE and expanded control over most of these areas. He also reorganized the administration of the empire. The big temples of Thanjavur is a place in South India, and Gangaikonda Cholapuram, built by Raja and Rajendra, are architectural and sculptures marvel. As you can see how beautifully they have been carved, they have been inscribed, they have been carved out, and they have been built. It is just impossible for nowadays architects or the laborers to construct such huge and magnificent temples. Chola temples often become the nuclei of settlements. Nuclei means center of settlement. Wherever you will find very important and very famous pilgrimage places, people starts living there. So settlements is living, or the colonies or the villages. So wherever these kings, they built so large temples, lot of villages, they started settling down around the temples. As you know, there are a lot of temple cities in India like Haridwar. So lot of people have settled there. You know why? Because they can get lot of employment opportunities over there. Some can sell flowers, some can sell prasad, some can sell various other materials and things related to the worship. So temples were also endowed with land by rulers as well as by the others. So temple authorities were also granted land by the rulers, and the produce of this land went into maintaining all the specialists who worked at the temple and very often lived near it, like priest. Why priest will work in the temple if will not get the salary? So whatever taxes they used to get from those lands, that was given to the salaries of the priest. Garland maker also, every day you need to make a fresh garland. Garland means माला, वरमाला, फूलों की जो माला होती है, that is garland. And cooks also, because lot of prasad it used to be cooked in the temple campus, which was being given to the and devotees. Sweepers also, they used to clean the areas of temple. Musician who used to play the instrument all day. Dancers also. So there were lot of people who were working inside the temples, and they were all given the salaries. Splendid temples and bronze sculptures. So far we have read about the Chola time, where they had built very beautiful temples. Now let us talk about their bronze sculptures. Sculptures means murtiyan or the images, and bronze is a metal. Chola bronze images are considered amongst the finest in the world when we talk about the quality. So the bronze of the Chola Empire, they were of the finest quality, while most of the images were of deities. This is one bronze sculptures. This is of Nataraj god, which is one of the form of Lord Shiva. Agriculture and irrigation in Chola Empire. A variety of methods were used for irrigation, and in some areas king ordered to dig the wells, and in other places huge tanks were constructed to collect rainwater. This is one of the leftover piece of the tank which was constructed during the Chola Empire to store the water. Settlement of the peasants, known as Ur, means the people who used to live inside the villages, and that village was known as Ur in South India, and they became prosperous. Prosperous means wealthy, means having lot of money with the spread of irrigation agriculture. What is the important thing for agriculture is water. If you'll provide water for the agriculture, you will grow lot of crop in your fields, and when you will grow lot of crops, you will become rich. So group of such villages, they form larger units, means when 1, 2, 3, 4 urs, they will join together, they will form a Nadu. So Nadu is a group of many urs. We have seen that Brahmanas, they often received the gifts from the king, and that gift was known as Brahmadeya. As a result, a large number of Brahmanas settlement emerged in the Kaveri Valley as in other parts of South India. As you can see, Tamil Nadu, lot of people there are following the, means they are of Brahman clan. So this is river Kaveri, which is emerging from Karnataka and falling into Bay of Bengal. So this region was so fertile that king used to give these lands to the Brahmana when they used to write prasastis for them. So this region is occupied by Brahmins. Each Brahmadeya was looked after by an assembly, and the assembly, it was known as Sabha in the Chola time. And these Sabha were of prominent Brahmana landlords. These assemblies worked very efficiently, and their decisions were recorded in details in inscriptions, often on the stone wall of the temples. Association of traders, just like the Brahmanas, they have the association which was known as Sabha. Similarly, all the traders means businessmen, they were also have an association, and their association was known as Nagaram, and they also occasionally performed administrative function of the towns, and all those who wish to become member of Sabha should be owner of a land from which land revenue is collected. Now, what are these qualifications? These qualifications are to become a member of a Sabha. Sabha was the assembly of Brahmanas. You just remember? And what are the qualifications which are required to become the member of Sabha? One is they should have land from which the revenue is collected. Second is they should have their own homes. Third is they should be between 35 to 70 years of age. And the fourth is they should have the knowledge of Vedas. Thank you, and like and please do subscribe our channel, that is Wow Education. We are doing lot of effort so that you can get benefit from our channel. Please do like and write what else you want to be published on our channel. Thank you so much.